Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Crubcast. I am your host, Chris MykonosFan. With me are the boys. Brody RACROX, say hello.
Hello.
Kevin the Golden Bolt, say hello.
Hello. Hi.
And Trav the Trav guy, that Trav guy. Hello. Oh, okay. Well, hey, how's it going, everybody? Hey, Jinx. We're back. If you missed the first episode, there are people on that. There are people here that weren't on that, including me. So I think what we're going to do today is, first up, me and Brody are going to say who we are and justify our existence to you, the listener. And then after that, we're heading into E3 season, which we can only call E3 season because that's kind of the name for it, even though E3's been dead for like, what, 3 years now? So we're going to talk about game showcases in general, but under the E3 umbrella, just because we all know what that means.
It's like how Band-Aids, it's an official brand. E3 is a brand, but it's lost all meaning.
It took me such a long time to know that bandage was the word and not Band-Aid, right? Or like chapstick.
Yeah, because it's a band hyphen aid.
Yeah, this made sense to me.
Just like Spider hyphen man.
That one I still forget. So
yeah, that one I'm not okay with.
If you spell it Spider-Man, you're a bad person. I'll say it.
Hydrosity.
So, Chris, who are you? Tell us a little about yourself.
Oh, gosh. Well, I exist. First off, that feels like an accomplishment. I'm a bull, secondly. And the third thing about me, I'm a bull? You should check last episode.
Can we finally explain what a bull is? Because we didn't explain it last episode.
I was sitting there watching Nico. I'm like, he sure is saying that Philadelphian slang that even I didn't really ever bother to ask what it means, huh?
It's so for those that don't know, it's short for Boolean variable, which is a variable that's either true or false. Those are the two settings that it has.
That's what it's short for?
No.
You didn't know? Oh.
I made that up. I don't know why you listen to me.
God damn it, every time! You're so convincing!
I had a gut feeling that he was bullshitting, so I'm just like, yeah, I'm not going to say anything.
I was even sitting here like, I mean, sure, you know.
So, Chris, you're a bull. What else are you?
We didn't acknowledge it. Oh, well, I'm also, I wear many different hats. I am a YouTuber. I'm now a podcaster. I'm an editor for you, specifically once in a while. I go to Sonic Retro forums and moderate, and I don't enjoy doing any of these things, but I show up for them, so that's pretty cool.
I have the distinction of being, I think, the first person to recognize the origins of both your brand name and Brody's brand name. So this was a good pairing.
Oh, I've never bothered to ask what Brody's is. I'm excited for that.
It's a secret. No, you can't figure it out. It's impossible.
I'm gonna say it on
decipher it.
I'm gonna wring it out of you if Kevin can't. Basically, though, I'm Chris MykonosFan. Mykonos being a Greek island, pretty cool. I'm a fan of it. Never been there, but of a poser.
Why'd you choose that Greek island?
Well, you see, Trav.
Were you looking for Greek islands, or did you just like how it sounded?
Have you ever played Sonic Unleashed?
No.
It's the most like.
Not since I was like 12. I didn't have any cognizance back then.
Okay, do you remember that first stage? It's like a nice, area, white buildings.
Yeah, the one that goes da 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 da. Wait, that's Front Forces.
Please don't mention that game to me right now.
Yeah. Tell me about Hoobastank, Chris.
Basically, I was signing up for a Sonic forum, and I needed a username, right? Because the one I had, they were like, we don't like the usernames that are too Sonic-y, right? Too Sonic the Hedgehog-y. So I was like, I'll pick the real world name for the first stage I like. And then I did and pronounced it incorrectly for like 4 years. I always called it Mykonos.
I forgot about that fart.
Kevin pointed it out.
Fart. Don't worry about it. It's fine. I forgot about that
fart.
Yeah.
I have a question about that.
Yes. Hi, you in the back.
More of a hypothetical. If you had to pick a stage from Sonic Forces to do this exercise with, and you can't call it by the stage name, you have to call it by its real life equivalent.
Amsterdam fan?
Okay. And what stage is that in Force?
Have you heard of City? It's called City. Have you heard of City? Okay, we're too niche down already. We're too Sonic-y. So yes, that's me. That's why I'm here. That's why my username is an island. It's bad SEO, and now we're here. That's me.
Yeah. The fun part so from my perspective, I'll tell this story, and then we'll go to Brody and maybe unveil his brand name to the world. I remember at one point, very quickly, I kind of thought, like, that's just Apatos, right? Like, 'cause I knew what Mykonos was. I didn't realize off the top of my head, I had assumed that you had Googled it and found out the pronunciation. So I was like, oh, I guess Mykonos does make sense. And then at one point, it clicked in my head because I was watching American Dad. And there's a specific clip where Roger says Mykonos. And I think it's one of the Stelio Contos episodes. And that clip played, and I immediately messaged Chris, and I was like, hey, American Dad just reminded me that your name is completely pronounced wrong for the last 7 years.
What,
Yeah.
Are you saying Mykonos?
Basically, yeah. MykonosFan, Mykonos. Yeah, it was always wrong, which makes it even more ironic, which just makes everything more sad.
Makes it
But
better.
At least we got there at some point, right?
Yeah.
Poser.
Brody, do you want us to reveal your brand origin, or?
Well, let me do my introduction.
This is
Yeah,
a
of course,
personal
of
thing.
course.
You don't
Yes.
you don't tell your best friend to go say hi to your dying mom.
You don't?
Oh, well maybe I do.
God.
Are we not best friends, Trev?
No, I mean we'd go
didn't
together.
ask-
I wouldn't
you
just
didn't-
send you.
Oh.
Hi, dying mom. This is my friend Kevin.
Yeah.
I brought him
Brody,
with us
who
to
are
make this
you?
less awkward.
Bring me grandkids.
What's that, Sonny?
I am Brody. I am he who is them. I used to do content, and then I talked about Kevin. I talked with Kevin about Ratchet and Clank. Yeah, I talked about him at length before I ever knew him. No, I talked to Kevin about Ratchet and Clank one time, and now I'm here. That's
how it happens.
That's basically how it is. I could say that I stream sometimes, but that hasn't been true in like a year. But I want it to be true eventually. Again.
So
What's stopping you?
Right now, just my setup. I just gotta
that's
actually.
fair. I mean, you went through a move and everything, so you have an excuse.
You had a very active 2023, so I think we can forgive you.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
Okay.
And now you're here stuck with us doing this, so
Honestly,
Brody-
it's a good time.
Brody and Chris were two of the people that were, as we mentioned last week on episode 1 of the Crubcast, were in the NewTubers reviewer sub room. NewTubers, for those that didn't listen to last episode, was a
Oh no
community
shit! I
that,
didn't know Brody was there too.
yeah, that Moriarty and I had created, and we made a Discord room for people within our niche, as we did for other niches of content. And I already knew Chris before that. We'll talk about that in a second. So I had brought him into the fold. Brody, I believe you just joined, and we met organically that way. And the two of you...
No, we actually met in Ant Dude server.
Oh, yeah. Shoot, that's right.
Wait, so there's more than one?
Yeah. No, that was the same server. You just didn't pay attention.
it's the much smaller ant dude. You haven't heard of him.
I've been here the whole time, Trav. I'm like Humpty Dumpty in the first Puss in Boots movie.
God.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Then I also brought you into NewTubers from there, and you guys became known as the Spyro avatars together for a
Chris
while.
and I, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're still in that server, but I at least still have the Spyro role in NewTubers, which
I don't think I am anymore.
quite coveted.
Yeah.
rare role now.
So Brody, also known as RACROX, do you want to...
Well,
Do you want me to tell them what the brand name is?
What
Is it
I'll
a
say
secret?
about this, I'll tell the story behind the name, and we'll see
Okay.
if people will maybe be able to pick it up. So
right. I just remembered.
When I got my PS3 for the first time, and I brought it home in summer of 2009. Just like a month before it dropped by $100, it had the big price drop. I got a PS3 fat right before, and I had to set up my PlayStation account, and the only PlayStation account I had before was the one on my PSP, which was I think it was JDRC SMB, which was literally just Jack, Daxter, Ratchet, Clank, Sly, Murray, Bentley, or whatever, right? I was just like, oh, PlayStation characters, sure, yeah, I'll do that. And then I get my PS3, and I'm sitting there like, I need a name for this. I just didn't for whatever reason sign in with my PSP account, because I just didn't make the connection of, oh, I have to do this. But I was like, oh, a PSN account. What can I do here? And when I got my PS3, I didn't have any games for it. And the reason was, I was in high school at the time, and my dad was very much like, why do you need a PS3? You have a Wii. Which is a statement to make.
Like every dad, yeah.
Yeah.
You want me to get a second job to buy one of these? What are you doing, son?
Yeah. I was like, you have a PS2 and a Wii. Why do you need a PS3? And I was like, well, it's going to have the new Jak and Daxter game. It didn't do that.
Oh, poor soul.
Yeah. So when I bought my PS3, I was like, oh, it'll be okay that I don't have any games yet because it can play PS2 games. But the specific version of the PS3 Fat that I got was not the version that can play PS2 games. So I bring it home. I'm in grade 9 or 10, and I plug it in, and my mom had taken me to go get it, and I'm all sitting there like I bought it with my own money, and I'm like, haha, fuck you, Dad. I'm sorry.
As you do.
My apologies. For the F-bomb. But I'm like, haha. Okay. But I had done all that, and I was like, oh yeah, haha, I can play my PS3, it's gonna be awesome. And then I realized I didn't have any games to play on it, and I realized on some level that if my dad found out about that, he'd be very smug about it. So I went to my mom and I'm like, can we go back to Walmart? Because I need to get a game. I don't have any money for it. I spent all of the money that I currently have on the system. Can you buy me this? So
this is painting a bleak picture. You're like conspiring with your mom to be like, okay, well, if Dad finds out I don't have a game, Mom, please, we gotta go to Walmart. I need a game.
I would not have heard the end of it. I really wouldn't have. And
but there were no PS3 games, Brody.
There wasn't, except there was one.
Oh.
It was 2009. So 3 years later, so it wasn't expensive, and I was able to pick up Ratchet and Clank Tools of Destruction. And so Ratchet and Clank Tools of Destruction became the only game I had on my PS3 for literally months. And so I played the challenge mode on that over and over and over again because it was the only thing I had. And where this is all going is to say that if you've been following along and you look at my name...
If you've been following along, congratulations.
It should be fairly obvious what my name actually means. But I like
RACROX. I knew what it meant, and I'm just gonna punch the lead here. Ratchet and Clank rocks, and I knew that, and I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. I didn't know it was so tragic. I didn't know there was like
I didn't know the full history, but yeah. I remember at one point I was like, your name's just Ratchet and Clank rocks, isn't it? And then you were like, I think you're the first person to have connected those things.
Yeah, like you're the first person that I didn't have to tell anything to get that.
Yeah. So I'm hearing this origin story
a horrifying moment
for the first time, just like everyone else.
So your dad still loves you?
Yeah, he says.
Nice, dude. You might be the first person here with a dad.
Yeah, I know. Honestly, this is like dad issues, the podcast. So hold on to that one. Honestly,
this is the epitome of daddy issues. Okay. Except for Brody.
Listen, I was to put my issues into perspective. I was a
therapy.
Let's go.
No, I have this one statement. I think it was my Twitter handle for years, which is just, I was a PS2 at mom's, GameCube at dad's kind of kid.
So your dad doesn't like you.
GameCube at mom's, and I don't know my dad.
He might have had a PS2. You didn't know. Who can say?
Yeah, maybe he had a PS2. What can I say?
He might have been playing Ratchet and Clank on it. He might have been rocking.
RACROX and okay.
Who are we? Oh, I guess the next thing we should talk about, going by last week, Kevin, you should ask me how I got in the Crub. How did I get in the Crub? And is the answer anything other than review and Apex Legends?
I think you were in it before me. I can't remember.
Yeah, so Chris was one of the originals in the original Crub Discord server, which was just a thing that we had put together. For those that didn't listen to last week, the short version was a group me chat that a few of us had made when we were in college to kind of keep connected with some high school friends. And then from there, it spawned into a Discord thing once we found out Discord existed, and I was like, hey, that's better. And over time, we slowly started adding more people that we felt fit the tone. Because, you know, if you have a group of friends, it's always hard to add new people to that group because that might change the vibe. So one of the first people, if not the first person to come in, was Chris, because I played Apex Legends with Chris. And then I was like, hey, you should join so we can play Apex Legends together. And that was how Chris met another one of our Crub members who's going to be on next week's podcast, Justin. And we were playing for a while. We had a good time. And I was like, I got to go to sleep. I work in the morning. I'm gonna hop off for the night. And then there was silence.
I pushed myself to be a little social because I'm pretty socially backwards and anxious all the time, right? So I was like, oh God, this is my worst nightmare. I'm gaming online, a thing I don't do with a guy I don't know, just met. Oh God. So we just kind of played for a while. We were just kind of vibing, you know, going through Apex Legends as you do.
So the thing that I had, before I had left, is there was silence after I said, I'm going to hop off.
Oh.
So I was then like, you guys don't have to stop playing. Like, I was trying to, like, nudge the friends together sort of thing. Because I was like, that'd be really awkward. And so now pick up, Chris.
Yeah, my mind focused on the personal trauma and forgot the rest there. We were just gaming for a while, you know. And after a while, I'm like, I guess I should make some conversation with Justin. And I just asked him, I'm like, so...
Worst mistake of my life.
Worst mistake of my life. I was like, so, do you know Kevin from YouTube? Because, like, I don't know. I just thought maybe Justin knew you from YouTube. And he was like... Nah, man, I knew him from, like, college or high school, however you two met. That's his story to tell. But I was just like, oh. Yeah. And we've been fast friends ever since. I just assumed, like, he kind of had the voice, right? And I was like, oh, a lot of people know Kevin because of YouTube stuff. Clearly, Justin must do YouTube stuff. I'm like, yeah, JTAR9. That's a name.
Yeah. So... over time, we then brought in Trav and Brody and Sean and M. And that's kind of how the Crub Core 8 came to be, along with other people that are also in the server that aren't part of the Crub crew. There is one other thing that we should probably address, Chris, of our friendship, because I started as a fan of yours and FTCR's by way of the Some Call Me Cinematic Universe.
I was worried you were going to talk about our Apex Legends hour counts.
Oh, no.
I thought that would be the hidden element.
That's hidden information.
We should not say that.
And so I remember following you on FTCR when you had the Learning to Love PlayStation review series. FTCR, for those that maybe aren't familiar, is Find the Computer Room. It's a YouTube channel that sometimes makes content. And that's
long-running Sonic the Hedgehog YouTube channel, basically.
Yes.
Like 2000s, which is before my time even. Like, it's been around forever. Yeah.
And so I always watched FTCR, and it's like a lot of Let's Plays with a bunch of different people talking over Discord or Skype or whatever. And I always watched, and I was like, I don't know who any of these people are, like, by voice yet still. I know the British one, maybe, but there's two British ones sometimes, so I don't know.
They blended together for me.
But Chris at one point reviewed some of the, like, early PlayStation games and then did Ratchet and Clank, and I was like, I like Ratchet and Clank, and no one talks about these games. And so I started following him there, and then he moved it to his own channel, MykonosFan. And at some point, after being the worst kind of commenter, which is the kind that says, I'm gonna make a YouTube channel, because don't do that, but I did it because I was an idiot.
The account's gone, so I'll say it was like your name, and I was just like, this guy with his full name's commenting on my videos, so I'm like,
yeah,
all right.
I still considered YouTube social media at that point, so I didn't think about it.
Yeah.
But then
remember Google Plus, okay?
It was a Google Plus account, actually, yeah. And so I did make that YouTube channel, obviously. And at one point, Chris and I were like mutuals on Twitter. I shot him a DM. And this is how we became actual friends, I would say.
This all is I remember. You moved from, in my eyes, the guy I could count on to comment on my videos from, oh, this guy and I talk. Because you hit me up with a pitch for like a co-review kind of thing, right? Or
it was a co-review of Spyro. It was a Spyro at first because I knew you liked Spyro and I wanted to get into Spyro. And then I pitched some other stuff that we didn't end up doing. We did do the Spyro video eventually.
Right, we did.
But I pitched it to you by sliding into your DMs and saying, forgive me for sliding into your DMs, essentially. It was really cute.
And then I said, slide on in anytime, friend.
How do you remember
What does that mean?
Well, we've cringed at this.
Because that's something that I would say, like, fully embraced. Like, Like, yeah, slide on in anytime, my friend.
It was embraced. It's just in retrospect, it's funny.
I was being so earnest and sincere, and I look back on it, and I'm like, who typed that? That's not me. That ain't me.
So
it ain't me.
And now
that's
we're
how Chris
somehow
and I,
very close friends.
Yeah, that's how Chris
basically.
and I became friends, was through cringe Twitter DMs.
Awesome.
And pretty close to the same with Brody, where we talked about Ratchet and Clank and other games and stuff, and we clicked.
Yeah,
and
the key difference there is that I would come to you talking about videos I was going to do or ideas I had, and they would never miss you.
Yeah,
classic.
There was just hours long conversations about how to go about something.
There was a point at which you had sent me a script for a video you wanted to do and still maybe want to do about remakes, remasters, remakes.
What, like 50 years ago?
Yeah, this is before the internet.
If it was during the specific period I'm thinking of, it was January of 2020.
It might have been. All I remember
recent.
is it felt like a manifesto.
Yeah.
Like it was the most post YouTube rambly. I know what I want to say, but I don't have the strength to say it. Sort of script where it just started with. It's so you heard Brody tell a story a moment ago.
A rough transition into
I write like I talk.
So you heard Brody explain his origin story of his name. It was that, but about the concept of a remake, for 35 or 40 pages.
Yeah, and to touch on what Chris briefly mentioned, it was at some point within this entire thing about video game remakes, there was, I believe I wrote. It wasn't 99 Google Doc pages. It was 99 like Samsung Notes app pages about 3 episodes of Hunter x Hunter where they played volleyball.
I thought you were going to say a whole season.
No.
Good lord.
It was 3 episodes of Hunter x Hunter playing volleyball, criticizing the prison industrial complex in my video game remake video.
Okay, that was in the same video. I thought so. I as soon as you said it, I had war flashbacks. Because I think that's where I stopped reading. Because I was like, I'm done. I'm getting a contact high from reading this. That's how much it was.
I was so blitzed that month. Like,
I wish we still had that version of the script, but it's gone.
It might be somewhere in my Google Docs. Maybe
we will read that on stream at some point.
If I can find it.
and for those that are listening in the audio realm or watching on YouTube, if you don't know, we actually record these live on Twitch at twitch.tv/crub_official every Tuesday around 7 p.m. Eastern. And then the recorded versions for those that are watching live on Twitch, those go live on Fridays, both on all audio platforms as well as YouTube in video form. So it's a fun time. If you tune into the live Twitch version, there's an exclusive pre and post show where you watch us spend time setting up and talking random stuff and hanging out with chat. So it's a good time.
You could be here to join in the in chat right now.
You could see this live.
What on earth did Brody do? Because it is unanimous. What on earth happened here to you?
I've seen at least one release the Brody cut in chat. So.
God. To briefly touch on my mental state during this period.
Therapy.
That's a
therapy. Yeah, no, it's gonna get dark. It's gonna get a little dark here, guys. So in November of 2020, my childhood dog.
Say no more.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah. My childhood dog Odie passed away in November of 2020, and I did not take it well. Because I had literally postponed moving to another city so that I could spend the last years of his life with him, because he was basically blind at that point, and he would get around the house by just muscle memory of being there so long. So I'm like, I can't take you to a new place. Like, and technically he was my family's dog, but he was my dog. They didn't take care of him. I did. So like I could have, and they wouldn't have had a problem if I had taken him with me, but it was just I just couldn't do it. To him, because I know that he wouldn't have been able to get around at all. And so I stayed at home for a while, and in November of 2020 he passed away, and I super didn't take it well. And also another thing I got into 2020 was THC edibles.
You can't whiplash.
So that's why you watched anime.
You can't.
Oh no, that's since I was 15.
No.
Or 14.
You can't just go from my dog died to I got really high constantly. You can't.
So let me link.
Wait, hold on. That's probably the most coherent thing he said.
The A to B makes sense, but when you say also unrelated, I got into weed. Like that's.
Oh, I didn't hear the unrelated part. I'm like, yeah, of course.
No. Well, so let me link these two concepts. Sorry. I had started in January of like 2020. I started taking THC edibles, and the weed will make you paranoid sometimes. And as a first time user, I was like, what if I get addicted? What if I blah blah blah? And I while on it, but anyway, I think eventually I watched a Kevin James. What's
Kevin
that
James?
No, the Clerks.
Kevin Jordan.
God,
that's the show by Tommy Wiseau, right?
No. Kevin Smith. Thank you. The guy who wears jorts all the time. And he finished his comedy special, or he started his comedy special rather, by saying that immediately after he had a heart attack, like immediately after going off stage, he had a heart attack, and the only reason
I know that story.
Yeah, the only reason that he survived, the doctor said, was like, I think
he had enough weed in his system
slowed
to slow shit down.
Yeah, exactly. It slowed his heart down long enough for the doctors to get there. And when that happened, I was just like, oh, here is a functioning human being. I'm fine. And so over the course of 2020, I indulged as I was staying home, not doing anything because of pandemic. But November of 2020 rolls around, and my dog passes away. I do not take it well, and I start taking way more than I used to, which it's weed. Like it's not gonna hurt you, but it will make you paranoid and sort of.
I'll hurt you. Sorry, no.
It'll sort of like screw with your thought processes at least while you're on it and things. And so in December of 2020 was very hard for me because it was the first spot of time where I was spending there without my dog. Oh, excuse me, and a little burp in there.
I didn't mean to laugh at that, but it was just so funny the time there. It's like, I don't know, man.
No, it's good. It's all good. And I think I just was like, at some point, I was like, I just need to throw myself into content creation or making this video I've wanted to make or making any video or whatever. And I just threw myself at it. But the entire time I was writing it, I was absolutely just completely zooted. And so I would literally be watching Hunter x Hunter, for instance, and then just see something that makes me think of something, pause the episode, write a bunch down, keep playing, pause it again, write a bunch down.
Okay, so this was from the screen to your mind to the fountain pen, so to speak. This wasn't like, I'm going to sit down and write about remakes. And also, by the way, here's Hunter x Hunter. You were at least actively watching it and going, no, this is relevant.
Yeah, in a way, like, because I remember at some point I decided, okay, this is no longer a video. This is a series of videos that after you're done it all, you go back and watch the first video and it recontextualizes it after you get all of the information. Like you're unlocking information in a Metroidvania.
You didn't tell me this when you sent me this script.
Oh yeah, it was supposed to be like, yeah, so it was a remake video, and then eventually it turned into like this deconstruction of the YouTube gaming, like the whole gaming side of YouTube, and then eventually it became about the cyclical cycles of self-abuse, which is then why at the end of it you're supposed to go, you were gonna go back and watch the first one, and it would be like, oh, all of this stuff that made no sense. Now I have the context, but. And I want to specify just how fucking silly this entire thing was. It spawned the idea of the cyclical loop. Yes, it spawned from the idea of I'm abusing myself mentally over the loss of my dog.
Brody,
and all that.
Where'd you get this weed?
But more pertinently, it was about how greed from Full Metal Alchemist is basically the venom of that show. And then I started equating everything to venom. And everything just became venom. And that's the part where I was just in a really manic state of like depression and high and just so many things.
I only know
Trav, how are you?
Hey, how's it going, buddy?
It's going
this
all
is
right.
A fair segue.
No.
Yes.
If you guys wanted to finish any thought.
If we wanted an introduction to Brody, welcome to Brody.
That was my other seg out of here, but
But hey, no, I'm doing well. I had a bit of a fiasco with my sponsor of my next video, which should be going up later today.
Hey.
Basically, they're like, hey, we wanted this video, or here's the date we want this video approved by. And then they, that day was apparently on Memorial Day, which was yesterday, where no one was working and able to check it. And so they let me know, like, my video was supposed to be due Sunday, but they didn't let me know until now, Tuesday, that I can post it. So
they would have wanted it by Friday then, is what you're saying.
They did, but the due date to get it sent in was late, basically. So, like, even though I got it in Friday, no one, like, I guess I sent it too late in the day for them to approve it, because no one checked it.
I get that, but if they must not have thought that through if their approval was
I think that it was a legit oversight on their part.
Yeah.
So that was frustrating, because I kind of need this sponsorship money, so I was like, oh, shoot, I need to, I really hope they freaking take this. And they did, so everything's good now, but I basically just spent my entire weekend anxiously playing Zelda, which was a great time. I beat it last night.
That's true. I don't know that we're going to, but we want to do a separate podcast about Zelda.
After last night, I definitely want to.
Yeah, so once Chris beats it, we'll figure that out.
I'll keep my thoughts vague. Basically, every cutscene during the final act of the game gave me goosebumps. It was a beautiful story all the way.
Interesting.
Yep. I have further thoughts, but we'll save that for another day.
Absolutely, yeah.
Never realized how much of a grip sponsors had on YouTubers until YouTube started taking sponsors recently. Or I guess last year or so, like recently.
It feels like recently.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too into the YouTube stuff because we're already a decent bit into this podcast and we haven't hit on our first topic of the day yet. But yeah, no, it's been fun having to pivot. And speaking of sponsors being annoying, I have a video that is coming out at time of recording tomorrow. For those that are listening in the audio realm or on YouTube, it's already out. That I have had some form of it done since January.
This is when I helped you on and completely forgot I even touched by this point. You mentioned it recently. I was like, oh, right, that one.
Yeah, and the way that sponsor... to not name any names, of course, because I don't want to disparage anybody. The way that sponsor pivoted away from what was on paper to, we want this at this point in the video, when I specifically had written into the contract that it would be like, the way that I do ads is I'm going to do them like 15 minutes in or halfway in. Yeah. Simply because I think that's a better way to do content for folks, especially when you're a channel that's, established but still has room to grow a significant amount. I don't want to bombard people with 2 minutes of ads up front. I'd rather you get into the video, I can make a funny seg and you can watch it, or you can skip it, or you can ideally consume the product too, maybe. And something like that. And this sponsor was like, no, we want it in the first 3 minutes of the video, or we're going to cut the price in half. And it was already a low price because we had signed it a long time before that. So it was a long, at this point, functionally like 8 months of setup, and then they delayed it. And then I was like, I can't do it that month. So I delayed it. And then it was supposed to be out in February. And then they were like, oh no, time delay, this is required by this time in the video, or we're not doing it. And so then that video just hasn't come out yet because I moved them to a really different video to show them why you don't do that to me.
Now everyone go watch the video, but don't link the sponsored name to what's being said right now.
Anyway, so sponsors are fun and they mess with our flow of things, and that for me, that has messed up my entire last 3 months of work.
As much flack as people give people for doing them, as someone who doesn't do them, it sounds horrible and like a nightmare.
Most of the time it's fine.
Sometimes.
Most of the time it's fine. It's just that every now and then they end up being problematic, or they don't understand.
Literally, my worst experience with a sponsor really was just they didn't respond in time, and it ended up being late. Kevin's got some horror stories, which I respect. Those are always pretty cool.
I don't remember. My view was kind of tainted by some of Kevin's worst experiences, I'd say.
I've had good luck. And speaking of good luck, if you go to bluechew.com, no, we're not.
Let's go. The gum may be soft, but you'll be
soft. Hard. I'll say it. I'll finish your sandwiches.
I like that. That's the one we got shy on.
No, I didn't get shy. I just wanted to make you guys feel weird.
I was already feeling weird. Don't worry. Speaking of feeling weird, though, the actual thing we came here to talk about tonight, in theory, E3, which again is a bit of a weird catch-all phrase, which belongs to a company that hasn't done its major function in 3 years, and I don't think will do its major function ever again under its current business entity.
Oh, yeah.
But when I say E3, you know what I mean. It's June. Video games are going to be shown. Hopefully they'll be good. Exciting stuff. In recent years, it's a thing where, all right, well, starting in late May and to the end of August, somewhere in there, every company has some weird announcement. Hey, I watched a Nintendo Direct. We should do one of those too, type thing.
Jeff Keighley,
it's kind of a mess.
Black Adam movie sponsorship that just shows up for 7 minutes of a stream.
Enjoy your gaming.
Enjoy your gaming.
Kind of want to talk about how it used to be, how it is now, just kind of a general remember E3 as we go into June here. I guess for context, for all of us, we probably first started watching E3 late 2000s at the absolute earliest, which means that we're still a lot of E3s that we've missed because it started in like the 90s. Like one of them was in like then,
like a lot of them were like, obviously they weren't streamed. A lot of them weren't aired. They were mostly stuff you would hear about in a magazine. Remember those?
One happened in an airplane hangar for some reason.
Epic.
You think E3 has Gen 1ers that are like, I liked it better when it was in the air?
Yeah.
I'd like to meet them. There are like E3 diehards, which I find interesting, I guess, as we get into it. Because there are people who's like, no, it needs to be E3. Like, it needs to be E3. The game announcement stopped being special once E3 went away. And it blows my mind because E3 is a conduit for game announcements, but it doesn't inherently impact, enhance, or lessen any game announced on its own.
I understand that perspective because it's the pageantry more than anything. It's the event of it all.
I don't even think it's that as much as it was one specific week. So it was gaming week, you know.
Yeah, like, I used to call it Gamer Christmas, and I would like invite people over to watch all the conferences, and then or more recently, like I would be like, all right, guys, let's all hop in the Discord call because it's not exactly feasible to do it all in person. But like if I could.
It's more like Gamer Black Friday though, because you're just being advertised to. It's not you're not getting anything.
100%, 100%. But it was that feeling of like, oh, this is the point in the year when I get to tell the people in my house, like, if I'm loud, there's a
as opposed to any other time of year, it's like if I'm loud, there's no reason.
If I'm loud, come check on me.
It's like, the new Little Big Planet might get announced. I may scream.
So I think rather than
you love Sackboy,
reminiscing about E3 specifically, I think what we wanted to do today was talk about what goes into a gaming showcase event, a Nintendo Direct, a PlayStation Showcase, an Xbox Game Pass, I guess. Anything like that makes it a good one of those events. Or, there's the Bethesda Showcases, there's Aisha Tyler, sponsored by Ubisoft, so on and so forth. And, Trav.
Hi.
Let's do you have anything off the top of your head that you think goes into a gaming showcase or that you think helps make it good or memorable outside of obviously the games themselves being announced?
Outside of the games themselves?
Yeah, because if you
Nintendo has a lot of personality with theirs, I guess. I like the way that they have the original Japanese developers talk and then their dubbed over in a way that can feel really low energy. Like there's some charm to that. That's really all I can think of. Like, other than maybe going to an in-person event where I could look at a replica of the golden hammer from Smash Brothers for 5 seconds and go, "Yep, that's the golden hammer from Smash Brothers." I guess technically Wrecking Crew, but
yeah, Trev.
Like, I don't care. I even when E3 was kind of at its prime. Well, at least it felt like it was at its prime, like 2018 around there. Back when I was like super like hell yes E3. Like I was getting tired of it.
Oh, interesting.
I was
gonna say, I think it's okay to have like a actually not much answer here, because I think there's some truth to it not being as good as people think sometimes.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's fair.
I know for me, like obviously pacing is probably the most important part beyond just the games themselves. For example, most recently there was that PlayStation showcase, and pretty much up until the end, it was like an hour and change or 50 minutes or so worth of rapid fire game announcements or gameplay reveals or whatever they might be. There was that Square Enix Splatoon knockoff they made. That was pretty cool. One of the things to me that I thought was interesting was I thought that was paced remarkably up until Spider-Man was the only thing they showed. Yeah. Like the whole time through, I'm like, this is actually really like punchy. A lot of the PlayStation showcases have been very slow or plotting or
overly grandiose. Like, do you remember the one where they had a live orchestra conducted by Bear McCreary going along with the game trailers and stuff?
That's so weird.
They did that a few times,
cool,
but not at PlayStation
weird.
Showcase. But yeah, because they did that with God of War when that was revealed.
Yeah,
they did it with Last of Us 2 when that was revealed. Those were both E3 events. That one. Okay, not to reminisce about E3, but the one with the Last of Us 2's big gameplay reveal was hilarious because they moved everybody from one arena building to another in the middle of the show, not the end.
They had a whole like middle like a pre-show, but in the middle basically to cover
like intermissions. It's like, okay,
yeah, they weren't showing games.
Stick around.
It was the worst. I don't know who had paced that or who had blocked that out. Whoever was responsible for production of that should be in a different job role. I'm not going to call for anybody to lose their job, but they probably already did, because that was horrendous.
And yet at the same time, and while I do have actual
apologist,
well, I do have actual input on what makes a good showcase, I have to say, when it comes to E3 specifically, and I think this may be what separates E3 from a lot of other showcases and what just sort of makes it special, that level of just absolute miscalculation of how you should be on stage and how you should go about that in and of itself is what makes it so special.
Remember the Star Fox puppets?
Oh, the Star Fox puppets.
That's got to be Nintendo's worst.
And they did
E3
that
showing.
because, what was it? Because Iwata was too sick to be on stage?
I don't know that was actually like an official cover for it. I think that worked out well. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. But they would have had those puppets made well before that to have worked out.
I think that was an artistic choice.
Yeah,
which I like personally. I thought it was a lot of fun. It just happened to also the games they showed that year weren't good.
I really loved
I thought it was charming.
The promotional circuit around Star Fox Zero.
I specifically liked that when they showed off Star Fox Guard, they did a Nintendo Direct trailer, the usual style of very low energy man reading his script and trying to sound interested in it. And he explained that Slippy had an Uncle Grippy.
Wait, was that actually a thing?
Yeah.
So
I've heard you guys quote that before. Real. I didn't know that's what it was from.
The plot of Star Fox Guard is that Slippy's Uncle Grippy is the defense minister of Star Fox or something. And so he just builds tower defense towers. I mean, I would assume he probably has a wife.
She's got like,
if your name's Grippy and you're not a player, I don't know, man.
Great mustache too for a frog.
Grippy got L Riz.
You should Google that and add 34 in the end sometime. It goes great.
I want to cry.
Grippy's a vibe.
I can tell you the
Vibe
moment.
is short for vibration.
Oh, okay.
Should have known.
Just for those of you that maybe are too old to know, that's like how people don't know what Riz is. They don't know that vibe is short for
Dude, I was having a topic
vibrating
discussion earlier today about how kids think that Zaza means pizza.
What is Zaza?
And so people will tell these stories on like Admit Your Cringe Reddit, where it's like, yeah, I told my teacher let's have a Zaza party.
What is a Zaza?
Weed.
Sure, whatever, fine.
I don't know why, but
charisma. I was like, oh, I get it after. I was the one who found out 3 days ago what Riz is. Okay.
When I want to hang out with somebody, instead of saying let's vibe, I just say let's oscillate.
I thought Riz is those candies that you twist.
No, it's Ritz crackers, you idiot. Chris, what do you think about what makes a good gaming showcase?
Thanks, Kevin. I'm actually going to follow up on what Brody said, because I think he brings up a point.
Oh, I didn't answer what makes a good broadcast. I was just thinking about shit I like. Oops.
Yeah, I was thinking a few weeks ago about this, though. Like, I think about the youth sometime and how they'll never get to experience some things we experience. And that exact energy of, you remember the corporate suits that would get up on stage at a showcase?
They just didn't know what to do with their hands?
They know what to do with their hands, and they're like, well, we're trying to get retailers to buy copies of our games, because that's kind of what E3 is for at a point. One angle of it, right? So they come up with graphs and charts, and they're like, oh, wow, look how well our games sell. Isn't this interesting? And then you get the weird Nintendo Wii era ones where it's just Reggie awkwardly flabbering around on stage with some woman, and none of them are on stage presenters, right? It's not really their fault, but they're just up there and they're trying to sound... It's like the real life version of those multiplayer shooter demonstrations you get at E3, where they're like over exaggeratedly like, oh, we got to go team up and squad into that. It's just
so good. Amazing
energy of things that I'm sure they wish every day they could take back from their lives. And that's so foreign now. You don't get these weird things where someone goes up on stage and shoots themselves in the foot without meaning to repeatedly. Like, everything's edited. And
yeah, the only person that I think made a career off of cringe in the gaming space as far as E3 goes is Reggie.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone else pulled it off and kept going with it. The only person that'd be close was a paid actor, and that's Kevin Butler.
I was going to say Aisha Tyler, because I think that...
but she was already famous.
Well, yeah, I mean, what killed E3 wasn't the ESA leak. It wasn't COVID. It was the moment that Ubisoft decided that they didn't need Aisha Tyler. Because they were just dead wrong.
I'd love to say you're wrong, but my heart knows that you're right.
Hashtag girlword, man.
Who else has the strength to go to the audience and ask someone to make a meme on the spot? And then have them politely decline. And have her like wing back out of the most awkward social interaction aired in that theater. I don't know.
Ubisoft's conferences were always a treat because of her and how they would always start with Just Dance. Which
like marching bands coming into a stage.
My skin is crawling.
The most awkward one of it. I don't know. Maybe this is too dark to talk about here. But I'm gonna.
It's context that's needed. This is the one.
So I want to say it was, I can't remember what year, which is not great. But it was the year that there was the shooting at the Orlando gay club in Florida, and it happened like right before E3. So like, E3 Monday, everyone was coming out, like when PlayStation did their conference, when I think it happened the night of Xbox, so I don't think they did it, and then it happened, and then but PlayStation comes out and they're like, oh, we want to like have a moment of silence to respect for all of that people. Ubisoft comes out in their conference doing the whole Just Dance thing. Like, they do the entire thing, which would have been fine, but then they decide to take their moment of silence with all of the dancers and people in costumes still on stage.
We're talking like marching band giraffes. This is like, what if Mardi Gras was a cringe parade?
The giraffe in particular is like taking a knee.
You have reminded me of something that is just as bad. And that is not related to gaming at all, but I need to share this story so people look up this image.
Okay.
It was Dana Carvey was filming. I forget what the name of the movie is, but it's a movie where he's dressed up in a really stupid turtle costume.
Oh, what's the name of it? Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I
whatever that movie is. I got Master of Disguise.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to someone.
Am I not turtly enough for the Turtle Club?
And so he was filming Master of Disguise, and one of the days that he was shooting in costume of a big, giant, stupid turtle frog outfit or whatever was a Tuesday in September. The movie was filmed in 2001.
Little known day.
And on that day, they took a moment of silence for events that had happened. And he was just in full costume. And there's at least a picture of it. I don't remember if there's video of it too from like the behind the scenes. But you reminding me of the Just Dance thing just beamed that image right into my memory, and I needed to make sure that it was shared in some form.
Now imagine that being streamed, but also with the parade next to it.
Yeah.
And the kids these days, they'll never get to know that level of, oh my God, why are they doing this?
Kids these days don't know what it's like to have to pause to...
It's fascinating because I think what's interesting about it is we got to see the industry start to grow up in real time.
Yeah. Like this is the consequence of them learning how to do it.
Yeah. And as a result, obviously we started to see it also get more commercialized in real time because as part of growing, it got bigger and bigger to now it's the biggest, entertainment form in terms of profit in the world. But we got to see it get sanitized over time. Because everyone got better at presenting, and that meant that we never got a cringe but hilarious and amazing Kevin Butler speech again, where this fake PlayStation 3 mascot just goes on this whole rant promoting the PlayStation's Wii knockoff to talk about how no matter what kind of gamer you are, don't gatekeep. We're all gamers, and then he gets a standing ovation from gaming journalists who he is marketing to in this auditorium.
I mean, when the question was brought up in the pre-show, what is your favorite E3 moment? I mean, that is mine. Like my favorite E3 moment is a paid actor talking about a fucking motion control peripheral. Like, but it's so good. It is the best E3 moment because his speech is actually just really good.
It's really good. It's genuine, and then it's followed up by him telling the president of Sony Worldwide to get him a Coke. And then he walks off stage.
God.
I was sitting here like, man, you don't really get that anymore. And you don't. But I'm thinking about that PlayStation showcase from last week, actually. And from a different perspective, there is something morbidly, similarly horrible about, and to touch on one of the negative aspects about this, I think, was Jim Ryan, people have opinions on Jim Ryan here nor there, but him coming in at the end, showing off a PlayStation Wii U to you, something about that had a similar energy to me of Kevin Butler being like, yo, here's the PlayStation Move. But at least with Kevin Butler, I believe that he believed in it, even though he's being paid just to do it. Whereas when Jim Ryan walks out with a PlayStation 5 controller split in half with a screen in the middle and being like, look at this exciting new product we have. You'll be able to buy this in our earbuds. Here's Spider-Man 2 for 10 minutes. I'm like,
oh no, he's got his PlayStation pods in. He can't hear you.
It evoked the onstage E3 things, but I'm like, you had script writers and an editor for this. You could have not done this. But it was like a little spark of magic of like, oh right, it used to always be like this.
The thing is, even when previous PlayStation guys, like even when Andrew House would talk, like
Andrew House,
when he would talk,
Fallout,
yeah.
We're lying to you.
I want that. I want Fallout guy, not Pip-Boy, but like I want the courier from New Vegas to be in Smash, just so that the announcement trailer is Andrew Mr. House. And it's just a really bad PNG of him just speaking to you with really bad text underneath.
It's doing what my guy is doing right now, just hopping every time he talks.
Yeah, Mr. House is a VTuber.
Mr. House is a VTuber.
He is. Holy shit.
That's enough for the Crubcast today.
I've completely lost my train of thought.
That's fine. But yes, we've seen a lot of other companies take their stab at the presentation over the years. And I think, Kevin, what he touched on a bit ago about the pacing is important. And I think it probably is the key factor these days because everyone's moved to the pre-recorded, edited, scripted digital presentation of E3, right? And on one hand, it makes me miss things that, if they were included, would make the pacing worse. Like, there is a part of me that misses the game developer talking about the game they're making, right? Like, why did you make it? What is the point? What's the idea? What's the thinking? You know, what should I look forward to? That kind of stuff. That is one thing I do miss from old school E3 showings, is that being a thing. But
and there's also the topic of, like, with E3 specifically, obviously the conferences are just the first half.
Right.
Yeah. Because
you would get, and especially with, like, with Nintendo specifically, right? You would wake up on Nintendo Tuesday and watch their direct in the morning, and then E3
Nintendo
proper.
Tuesday.
Yeah, Nintendo Tuesday.
It's like Christmas in July.
E3 would start, like, right after their conference was done at, like, noon, EST. I think I don't know times, doesn't matter, but it would start right after, and you could watch, like, E3 coverage of all of the games that you just saw the previous few days, or you could watch the Nintendo Treehouse, which was usually right after, and those would all be all of the in-depth things. And obviously you don't need that to make a good gaming showcase. Like Gamescom, Paris Games Week, Tokyo Game Show, that stuff all exists without that, or maybe it does have that, I don't know, but I just watch conferences. But with E3, I would usually, like, tune into some of the coverage if it was for a game I was interested in, but still wanted to, like, see in action. Yeah, I don't know. There's
the Treehouse thing felt like the ideal way to do it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
well,
you can have your briefly, short 1 hour, maybe less thing, get in, get out. And if that's what you want, fine. But if you do want that deeper dive, it's like, hey, after this, stick around. We'll actually show it off and talk to the people who made it and show you how the game actually plays, which is something you don't get a lot. Apparently,
people don't want to talk to the developers about their game anymore.
The Treehouse element, the Nintendo Treehouse element, went really, really. I'm glad that spread further, because that kind of brought back an old mentality that was lost during the middle years, where it was just big bombastic gaming showcases where you announce that your console is going to be a cable box or whatever. What I will say is that if you do want that cringe, thankfully there still is a long bloated gaming showcase that just happens to have awards in the middle sometimes.
Oh
yeah.
And
what is this called?
You
Awards?
Get Al Pacino talking about how he may come, and then you get him spending about half an hour introducing Christopher Judge, and you get Christopher Judge saying, "No, I'm not going to get cut off by the music playing. I'm going to keep going because this is a gaming showcase. You can't stop me."
And then he wins Game of the Year the next year or something like that.
And then the big reveal, of course, is, at the end, the biggest marketing is for a Fast and the Furious game that looks like it's on PS2.
Oh my god, yeah.
That's the kind of thing where
that was awesome.
I respect Jeff Keighley's intention, where he legitimately wants games to be viewed as a medium equal to any other medium, movies, television, music, whatever. And so he's like, in order to do that, we need to have a big gaming awards show. Even though I think he knows at the very, like, fundamental level, all awards shows are just, like, arbitrary, like they're just, there's no point to them. But the act of having one is just like this visual trick of, like, oh, this is a more serious medium. And I think he understands, like, the general public in that way. And I think because of that, he also knows, I need to make this a spectacle. Like, this isn't an award show of, like, this isn't prestigious. This is get eyes on this and make it entertaining, which is why I thought the VGAs alone could be their own topic, but to keep it brief,
honestly,
Yeah, to keep it brief, like back when it was Spike and they had like celebrity hosts, I actually think that was the best era of the video game awards, because it was like you're hiring someone who knows how to do a hosting job, and with the exception of Joel McHale, but that was unfair to Joel McHale. He was not ready for that. I'm glad that they invited him back to correct that. But there was a lot of good moments with, I think, like Jack Black hosted, Neil Patrick Harris, Samuel L. Jackson. Like, it was a fun time. That's also one that I would bring my friends over to watch, like, live. And now it's sort of become another gaming showcase, and they literally, like, they will hand out awards in the pre-show and, like, in a little text box at the bottom while game trailers play. And it's now gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, well, I know that you're just having an award show because it needs to be there, but maybe you could make it an award show.
Yeah, like, I don't want to just watch an award show, but there is some element of me that, you know, as a consumer of the medium, and as someone who is obviously a large enough fan of the medium to make covering it a job, I kind of like seeing studios and actors and everyone involved get some level of credit for all the crunch they're doing. And so for, you know, I get that best sports / racing game is maybe not the best award that people want to see a long speech for, but maybe have digital interviews like how the Oscars, I believe, maybe it's not the Oscars, but maybe Golden Globes, have a backstage area. I know the Oscars, I think, have a press conference nowadays where the winners, they give their 2-minute speech, they go off stage, and they then go to like a press junket where they're asked questions about how it feels, and they get to give more genuine responses in a longer amount of time than 45 seconds or whatever. Why, in the era where we have 17 screens at all times, are we not doing that?
Especially when these shows are already like 3.5 hours every year.
Yeah, like they get longer and longer. I think this most recent one was a little punchier technically, and they did show more awards, I will say, only because Christopher Judge went off script and went 20 minutes long. But if not for that, it might have been even with the prior year. But if we're going to fully commercialize our only major gaming award show, then we should at least have some of the benefits of the other shows. And I know that's not entirely the topic of what we originally wanted to talk about with this podcast, but as it came to me, I've realized that really annoys me, because Jeff Keighley really wants this to be the Oscars, and yet he's not taking many cues from the Oscars outside of, what if we bring on actors to introduce our categories, because that makes me feel good, or I get clout from that.
He's
or I get
into
to
a
see
corner. Is the most iconic moment from his show is one of the game developers saying F the Oscars, basically, right? So that's always holding over the show now too. He embraced it. He didn't come out and be like, nah, that's not me. He just kept inviting him back every year. It was like, actually, we're not the Oscars.
Yeah, and
here's
then his game won
Hydrobot.
what last year, or was it the year before?
The Chick Hydrobot.
No, last year it was Elden Ring.
The year before.
Whenever It Takes Two won. Yeah. Which here or there, I guess that's unrelated at a point, since that's the game in consideration.
I mean, it's unrelated to like the ethics of it, but it's very funny to me.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he never pushed away from that, which is unfortunate.
Say, related to the ethics of it, I remember that his Discord account, there was a Game Awards Discord server, and it would show you what game you voted for Game of the Year, and his specifically was like It Takes Two was his role.
Yeah.
So some level of ethics there. Not that he rigged it, but that someone with the influence that the owner and showrunner and only major on-screen talent of this event has, that he would openly share which one he voted for before the event while voting is still open.
I hope he just happened to be testing it at that moment and someone got that screenshot. That's what I like to tell myself. But it's very valid concern.
I joined the server like a couple days later because that like went around and it was still there. So no.
Never mind. Okay.
Yeah. Like,
I want to give the benefit of the doubt.
Did Death Stranding win, or was it just nominated?
No.
Because he obviously has had a lot of Kojima bias.
there would have been riots if
I think so. And I remember
the memes alone would have been.
It was nominated though, right? Like
it was nominated for Game of the Year only because 2019 was that 2019 2018
right before the pandemic, yeah.
That year was kind of light, I think, if I remember correctly.
Well, I think because I feel like I remember seeing it there and going, this can't win because if it does, he's done.
Yeah. I think it was 2019 because 2019 was the Sekiro year, because Sekiro kind of came out of nowhere, as the winner. Not to disparage that game at all, but no one really expected that to win, and then
It's interesting. The Game Awards is unfortunately also a game showcase at this point too, as we mentioned.
Yeah,
and I'm the weirdo who would prefer that to just be the award showcase. Especially because I already see Jeff Keighley twice a year at Summer Game Fest and Gamescom in August. So I'm kind of like, let's just, how many game showcases do we need in 1 year?
Yeah,
you know?
Well, and when the marketing is like getting more and more blatant in both of them, because like I said, the most recent Summer Game Showcase, there was a 7-minute ad for Black Adam with The Rock talking about how he's not a gamer or whatever.
Like his parents are involved in IMAX, so you could go watch Summer Game Fest IMAX. And it was just The Rock doing a cameo video at his own gym right after working out, sweat pooling down his body, being like, "Oh, I'm so sweaty and stinky. Have you tried my energy drink?" And I'm like, "What are we doing?"
And then he pulls out his tequila or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's just like, "Oh, enjoy your gaming." I'm like, "Oh, I'm trying."
Like, look.
Wait, that was a Rock quote?
That's
no, actually, that was Brody on the podcast today. Actually, that whole speech where he introduced his energy drink and everything. That was Brody's introduction to this podcast.
Wow. God,
same energy.
Dude, I've heard you use that on your soundboard. I thought that was like some random announcer at like WWE or whatever.
I mean, technically,
it's The Rock.
I guess that's not wrong.
Yeah. No, that was him plugging Black Adam.
Good lord.
Because he really wanted Black Adam to be, he wanted to take over the DC universe, and then
he apparently staged a coup and everything. It was really cool.
Yeah, and then it didn't work, and now his stock's kind of fallen, which is interesting. Yeah, but that's not related to game showcases.
I think it is.
Well, to agree with Chris, I also would like the Game Awards to focus more on the awards than anything. But I will say, having a couple really really big announcements in there, I like that. Like that, because that's how they used to do it, right? Where it would be like, oh, here's the Game Awards, and the only you're gonna get announcements here, but they're gonna be like Joker and Smash, Kojima's next game, the biggest news that you could imagine, and now it's like Fast and Furious. So it there's just
did you see that 5-minute long trailer this year or last year? Sorry, of it was just a bunch of CG children dancing.
I don't think I did.
It made me
uncomfortable. Dude, I
probably did.
You're talking about something, and I just can't remember it. And I'm just trying to imagine this in the abstract, and it's really funny to me.
I'm just thinking of
trailer of children dancing. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it's just a bunch of kids dancing for 5 minutes, and apparently it was for a game. But it was a shitty music video.
I'm thinking of that one MMO that had small children avatar or something.
That's Final Fantasy 14.
God, not that one, but you're right.
That was
What was the big game?
I have no idea.
What was the big game for this year at the end?
No.
For this year at the end of which one?
At the end of the Game Awards. It was something.
I don't even remember. I guess it's also an issue with these game showcases, right?
I'm drawing a blank. I don't remember.
I watched it.
Shoot. It's going to bother me now. I don't remember what it was, but I feel like this was another year where there was a big random extraneous media adjacent game, like a tie-in game of some sort, but I don't remember what it was.
I remember the game that I was talking about, and it was Dokev.
Dokev.
If you look it up, you might recognize it.
Was it?
It's Dokev.
Whatever the case, we've very much gotten off of the initial idea of this episode, and I think this has turned into a very interesting discussion. Even despite that, because even while complaining about the Game Awards, there's been a lot of constructive thought that's come out of this that I've actually really enjoyed. So yeah. I don't know what else I would add.
I still cannot think of my favorite E3 moment.
I know what makes I know for a fact what makes a good E3 showcase, and it will never fail no matter how the showcase goes. But it's fallen out of favor. They don't really do it anymore. And even though they could, and even though that they kind of do it, but not in the same way, which is every good showcase, every legendary showcase has and one more thing.
Oh yeah.
And you can show Spider-Man 2 at the end of the PlayStation conference, but that showing it and having it be the and one more thing are entirely different ideas. And one more thing is a bait and switch, and that's
maybe I'm an asshole, but that was the best part of the presentation.
Oh yeah, I'd say it was for sure.
Oh was it? Okay. I literally have not seen people's consensus on it other than oh my god, Metal Gear.
People were upset with it. It seemed like a softball show, right? We don't know what a lot of PlayStation studios are working on.
Yeah.
We still don't really know after it, which is the issue. But if you're just looking at it,
we kind of do. We kind of do, because the day after that, or maybe 2 days after that, we had the report about the Last of Us multiplayer game being a fiasco behind the scenes, and then it's okay, maybe we do know what they're working on, and it's quickly pivoting from games as a service because, oh no, we've made a huge mistake trying to make 12 of them.
Yeah.
When you have 12 games all telling you to play that one game for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Right.
And yet I'm almost positive on it, because not because I want all of these games as a service. I absolutely don't.
Brody the apologist.
But what I miss when a game's multiplayer only had to be good for 2 months, and then you throw it away and you play whatever the next multiplayer game is. You're playing Uncharted multiplayer, and then 2 months later you're playing Assassin's Creed multiplayer, and then you're playing COD when it comes out in November for a few months, and then you're gonna play whatever whatever game has attacked on multiplayer, and you're getting a variety of experiences, and I really like that, and that's fallen that's gone away with
honest
we're gonna
to
create
God,
one
that's
multiplayer
almost
experience.
exclusively why I play single player games.
Brody,
I
just do single player these days.
Are you trying to enjoy something for a reasonable amount of time and then move on to your life to enjoy other things instead of dedicating all your time to upping the analytics of the big games? What is wrong with you?
I don't disagree with what you said, Brody, but I really do like the idea of all of those poor game developers spending years of their life sleeping in their office only to make a multiplayer mode that they and everyone knows is going to be completely just shattered within weeks of release.
Oh my god, my mind immediately just went to someone going home for Christmas later in the year is to their parents and say, "Oh, show me that multiplayer shooty thing you made." It's oh, no one's playing. Everyone moved on as of the Brody decree of 2023. I can't show you because no one's playing.
Oh, I see what you mean now. Okay.
I just, if nothing else, the one sort of positive of a games as a service model is that work is ideally appreciated for longer. In practice, it's still not, but
yeah.
It's a tough situation, but I do agree that was one of the most nostalgic eras that I have for games, because you had games like Monday Night Combat. I've been thinking about that game a lot lately, and it just makes me sad because that game was so rad, and it just doesn't exist anymore.
Y'all remember Section 8?
I do.
Section 8.
I do. I didn't play it, but I do.
Like the law?
No. It was like a Halo kind of style download only game on the PS3.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Or Lead and Gold. Oh, that's a classic.
It's an interesting name to call a game.
I could name so many just nondescript PS3 multiplayer games.
Yeah, that's
they were like my bread and butter.
Whole era that this doesn't exist anymore.
So anyways, here's my favorite E3 moment. I liked it when the dude came out to play the Wii drums and he went...
It still is one of the best moments.
Yeah, honestly.
Like it is really actually hard to beat that.
I honest to God cannot think of a great moment from E3 except for like the games that were announced, but that's not really a moment because then I just go watch the trailer on its own and be like, yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. I mean, even like
it was cool when the Swedish Chef from the Muppets came out. Oh, that was the Game Awards. Never mind.
I liked.
He gets a Muppet every year.
That was probably also E3 at some point. To be fair,
because like Animal from the Muppets, that was cool. I like Animal. I
liked when Sean Layden came out with a bad silhouette of Crash Bandicoot's shadow not matching up with where he was standing.
I watched that one in a theater because that was an E3 feature for a couple years that Xbox is returning for some reason. Whoa. You could go to a movie theater.
Yeah, that's right. You can watch their new
for free
showcase live or at a theater.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you want to go? It might be live during TMG.
I'm not going. Sorry. I have to watch it by myself and like Discord message you guys like, yo, you seeing this stuff?
Watch it in your own theater and then just be on the phone with us on Discord loudly the whole time.
No one's going to be in there. I can probably do it.
This wasn't an E3 moment, but one that I will say that I'm very fond of looking back is the moment where Jeff Keighley, I don't dislike Jeff Keighley, I swear.
He seems like a really genuine nice
like
guy.
him. Yeah. I like
nothing against him.
Yeah. The moment where he was so proud that he had a Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox representative all on stage at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, for him, that was his Kevin Butler moment. Like that was
like he was like, look, we're all gamers and we're all happy. And then a year later, the console wars started back up, and
one of them got maybe pushed out of their company. We don't know what. It seemed kind of weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even when
Suddenly
I think back
retired.
to like a legendary E3 moment, right? It's like the 2015 PlayStation one, where The Last Guardian, FF7 Remake, and Shenmue 3 was all on stage. Even when I think
Kingdom
back
Hearts.
to that one, was Kingdom Hearts there too?
I think Kingdom Hearts was also that year, I'm pretty sure.
Shoot. Even then, I think back to that. In the moment, it was like, oh my God, Shenmue 3? Like, what is next is going to happen?
Yeah.
But I think back critically at that moment. I'm like, they brought Yu Suzuki out to announce a Kickstarter and say, please give us money in the middle of their advertisement of games. And I'm like...
It was... Like, they would not fund it themselves. They were like, no. You need to make $7 million, but we'll give you 30 seconds.
Yeah. And then they just awkwardly, push a legendary game developer off stage as he meekly had to be like, yes, please give me some money so I can make my game. It's sad in retrospect.
Okay, idea.
Okay.
Crub-funded E3 2024. Chris, this cannot be a YouTube short.
What am I supposed to do then?
E3 2024, sponsored by Crub, bankrolled by Crub. We all go on stage really awkwardly because we have no stage presence and we learn on the fly like Jeff Keighley did. And we go there, we give 30 seconds of airtime for a Kickstarter / GoFundMe, and Yuji Naka comes out in handcuffs.
Okay, I'm liking this now.
He walks out.
I was kind of out of it, but now I'm into it.
He walks out and he asks everyone to give him money so that he can get payback on all of the people that have slandered Balan Wonderworld and put him in jail.
He's going to fund Ivy the Kiwi too and show him who's boss.
And then he breaks the handcuffs, and there's a Sonic plush on stage, and he snaps its neck, and money comes
rings
out.
It with the cuffs. Okay.
Yeah. And then he's like, my handcuffs were rings, but I'm Super Sonic, and he goes on a killing spree worldwide.
As long as he starts with us, I'm okay with this.
And then for saying this, we're all called anti-Japanese racists, as has happened to us in the past. Hence why this shouldn't be a YouTube short, because Yuji Naka's got weird fans. Sorry, Brody, continue.
Does he?
I was just going to say, I really like the plan. My only note is, can we do it on Fig?
Yes.
Ooh,
that way the people who back us get a cut of the percentage.
That's true.
Dude, straight up. I was just going to bring this up next time, but we're here and doing whatever now anyway. I saw that Linus Tech Tips is doing like a tech showcase in July. And it just finally, and like most of the guests were like their creator friends. And it finally hit me like, why don't we just make a gaming
CrubCon
YouTube convention where we just bring our friends in and then realize we don't have a plan to entertain people, and then get sued.
I mean,
by,
it's
the
just
Better Business
TMG,
Bureau.
but never mind. I shouldn't make fun of their.
It's like TMG, but we can do it in like January.
Yeah.
It's TMG, but Trav and I have a panel.
Finally.
The stars have aligned.
Just do it up here in Canada. It'll be cheaper.
No.
No. If we
I
took it to
want
like Vancouver, they would probably fund it. Actually.
Oh, true. We could get a grant.
I mean,
Yeah.
wait, hold on. Is it
You
PAX
could-
or MagFest that we qualify for just immediate guest validation?
I think both.
Okay.
CrubCon, we definitely do.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
CrubCon,
Dude,
everyone gets passes.
I still might get rejected from Crubcon.
Well, I did actually. I thought of another legendary E3 moment, and I'm gonna be I'm gonna be a little toxic here with this one, because it's.
Hey guys, have a good one. Welcome to.
No, it's just console war toxicity, but it's
PS3 shares your game or whatever.
Yeah. So in 2013, you had Xbox's conference. That was when they were still doing it in the morning, E3 Monday instead of Sunday night.
Right.
And Xbox comes on and they do their whole, this is a cable box, it needs to be always online, whole thing. And then you have like a few hours later, Sony come out and be like, yeah, you can just share your games and shit. And they got this like uproarious applause. Like the applause at that E3 was unparalleled. I don't think I've seen anything like it since. And there was also that cute video they shared with Shuhei Yoshida and Adam Boyes of just sharing the game.
Yeah, just handing each other the game disc.
Yeah, it was so shady. Like it was, but I loved it. It is the PlayStation gamer in me at heart, and I try not to be the console war person because what's the fucking point? But also, it's vindicating. It's nice to see.
The pettiness that we see nowadays isn't as fun.
Yeah.
A, because it's mostly on Twitter. B, because most of it involves a currently ongoing legal case. And
right.
like the after the Sony showcase, the Xbox Twitter dropped like oh man, look at all these games, and they're all like games that were at the Sony showcase that are also coming to Xbox because of course they are.
Yeah.
Because I think the only thing that Sony showed off that were not coming to Xbox are Final Fantasy and Spider-Man. There might be one or two more, but I think it's just those two.
Was Marathon coming?
Yeah, that's cross-platform.
Oh, really? I didn't think it would be considering.
It's a PvP shooter. Shut up.
No, but Bungie's owned by Sony.
Okay, and
so it.
So you think
it might be exclusive? It might be PC and PS5.
It might be just PC. That's fair.
Whatever the case, there was an Xbox tweet that was like, "Yeah, look at all these games," and like everyone's like, "Haha, owned," and I'm like, "Man, you guys are not funny anymore." Like nobody. I don't know. Shade used to be better.
That's
true. You used to have to be more
they
than
did
just a
that.
tiny bit witty.
I might have felt like that was the right kind of petty, but I know that Xbox Showcase is going to come and go, and I'll be like, "What was that thing again?" Whatever.
I mean,
I'm not playing
that's
an
part of
Xbox
it.
game this year anyway because there's just nothing coming.
Xbox is set up for success. They just don't do anything with that potential. Like they have all of these studios now, all of them that make good games. They just don't release any games under Xbox.
The two biggest games released by the Microsoft Xbox brand, I'll give them three. Since the launch of Halo, specifically, the only game that they released a year after launch, Age of Empires 4, which I think came out before Halo, actually.
Pretty good.
So that one counts. And then two games that were shadow dropped, Pentiment and Hi-Fi Rush. That's it.
I can't wait for Scalebound. That game's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to that one.
Oh,
like you said, Chris, like that shade would mean more if it was coming from a brand that was thriving and not publicly moaning on an Xbox podcast that, oh, well, we never had a chance because you need more than games to sell a console. And it's like, I mean, if you hadn't stopped making games in 2013, I don't know.
Yeah.
Shot in the dark.
Like, I want to cover myself. Forza Horizon, pretty cool. Hi-Fi Rush, amazing. Age of Empires, awesome. Pentiment looks pretty cool. I don't look forward to Xbox games, though.
When did Horizon come out most recently? Was that before Halo or after Halo?
Oh, gosh.
I think that was their only launch level game. I think that was their, 2020.
Yeah.
I want to say. Because Forza 8 or 9 or whatever, it's not numbered anymore. The new mainline Forza is coming out soon. Oh, and I'm sorry, the Flight Sim.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one, apparently.
Flight Sim?
I don't know, whatever. Xbox. Are we done? I think we're done. I feel like we've wrapped up by this point.
What's our one more thing? Oh, we can't just not have one if we're
going to kill Brody live.
Oh, shit.
One more thing.
I don't think I have a one more thing.
One more thing. If you're a company,
video going up after the stream, that could be a one more thing.
That's true, but we'll save that one more thing for the post show because then you're not going to plug a VOD to viewers a week from now.
What do you mean?
And for eternity. What was your one more thing, Chris?
My one more thing is my desperate plea to game developers. If you're a publisher and you feel the need to do a direct thing and tie all your disparate games that appeal to different audiences into one show, don't bother. Just don't. If I want to know Apex Legends news, I don't want to sit through every EA game I don't care about just for the one thing. Just tweet about it on your dedicated accounts. That's all we need.
Yeah.
We don't.
They just do it because you have to watch it. It's sales. It's advertising. It's like that TV that now will not let you skip the ad until it tracks your eyes to know that you watched it.
That is just
the thing.
Yeah, that's they're slowly rolling it out as a discount. I want to say in some areas it's a free TV. But you have to watch the ads, and it has a camera that makes sure you're watching the ads.
My one more thing is coming this summer, Crub Plus.
Ooh.
You say Crub Crust?
That's a great first idea for the content on Crub Plus.
Crub Crust, actually, is coming to a local pizza...
Is Crub Crust when Justin makes us watch Yummy Boy videos?
Local pizza chain, because I don't think any of the national chains would do well with Crub, because I don't think I trust any of them.
I love double stuffed Crub Crust.
Crub Plus, give us $99 and we'll show you one trailer for Crub a year.
We'll send you the MP4 pack of our intros.
I found my one more thing.
Which is found my one more thing. It's just under a drawer somewhere.
Good podcast, guys.
Yeah, well, mine's more of an announcement, I suppose. So it fits. Which is that I've gone into my Google Docs, and I have found, in fact, a document. I found a few documents with the word remake in the title, but this one specifically, I have it as the remake rubric -episode 1. And just as a quick check, it's 25 pages, and there looks to be at least 18 episodes planned.
So we're stealth announcing the stream where we just let you read that, and we play voice clips of us going, "Whoa!" every 3 minutes.
Wow!
Well, here's the best part.
Very in the can clips.
That's crazy.
Damn, that's nuts, bro.
I have here a note. I have episode 16, 16A, B, and C, all of which are. I think I planned on remaking the videos I had already made as part of the statement. Each.
I remember this part.
Yeah, I have titles and stuff in here too. I'm not going to say any of them right now. We don't have time, but just want to know that it is there.
Great.
That will be something we do at some point because we have to.
That is our one piece. 1,000 episodes from now, we'll circle back and finish that one off, I think.
That'll be the Brody arc.
Yes. All right, I'm calling it there. That's the end of this week's episode of the Crubcast. Thank you for getting with us to the end of this. It sure was a ride that went all over the place all the time. As a reminder, we said it earlier, we stream this live 7 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays at twitch.tv/crub_official. We are on every major podcast platform I can think of. If there is one you want to use that we don't seem to be using, add us Crub Official on Twitter. I'll look into it, but Apple, Spotify, Google, we're there. We're on iHeartRadio for some reason. We have a TikTok, Crub Official. We have an Instagram, Crub Official. If you want to watch this, but for like a minute at a time, check those out. And yeah, podcast goes up
1 minute
Friday morning
each.
I do have one more thing for us to end on. So Chris,
one more thing.
When you're ready to end the stream, end the show.
So much.
Everyone who's on this call right now, look under your chairs.
Oh,
I found your dads.
I don't want to look.
Your dads are here.
No.
I don't like that he's down there.
A ping pong ball.
Your dad's been under the table the whole time.
How did you do that? Like, how did you get him?
He might have been given sloppy. I don't know. Goodbye.
How do you not? Bye, everybody.